Hello, hello, Star Family. I'm Michael. This is oneskyastrology, and we're here for another lunar cycle overview. I think this month is going to be another wild one, but we'll get there. It starts January 29th with a new moon in constellation Capricorn, the goatfish, and culminates in a full moon February 12th, 2025 in early in constellation Leo, framed by Leo. That's the moon. The sun will be right on the Capricorn Aquarius cusp. February 12th, that full moon. Also happening later this month, we see Ceres move into Aquarius. Happens every 4.6 years. And Saturn moves into Pisces. Happens every 29 and a half. But this is a big one. And the next couple years are really going to be dominated by Saturn and Neptune in Pisces and the importance and the alignments around them. But again, we will get there. Let's start at the beginning. All right, here we are at the beginning. We're looking at the new moon, January 29th, 2025. And we can see that sun and moon are aligned in constellation Capricornus. They're joined by Pluto and Mercury, very close conjunction. Pluto and Mercury in the early Capricorn territory, really a sort of cuspy land there in cuspy area of the sky. But technically Capricorn also joined in Capricorn by Ceres, dwarf planet Ceres, who I mentioned will be moving into Aquarius, moving rapidly at this time. Saturn's in Aquarius. He's moving direct. He'll move into Pisces later this month. Like I said, that's pretty big, especially because he's joining Neptune in the North Node, as well as Venus. Here in early Pisces, in late Pisces, we have dwarf planet Eris and the centaur Chiron. Uranus retrograde on the Taurus Aries cusp, about to go direct. It's moving very slowly at this time, January 29th. Jupiter on Aldebaran in central Taurus, the bullseye, a big star with an important mythology, especially for Jupiter. Mars is here in the area of the twins in Gemini. And the only thing happening on the other side of the sky is the South Node is about to make its way out of Virgo. Like eventually that'll happen. It's a slower process. And I don't know the date. It's not relevant yet. But moving on, here we are looking at the 2D chart. 29th January 2025. It's the very same date as the 3D sky that we just looked at. And the intention of a new moon is always a sort of seed planting time. It's always a sort of intention of a blueprint that's expressed for the month. So when we see these things, we see things that are embedded in the whole month systemically, and things that really kind of want to happen. And as mentioned, we have all this Capricorn. We have Pluto, Mercury, Sun, Moon, and Ceres here in Capricorn. And the Sun, Moon is making very close trine to Jupiter, right on Aldebaran. And that's a trine of 1 minute, 31 seconds. It's pretty significant. Also significant is this formation in early Pisces where Venus, Neptune, and the North Node have really come together. So that's a sort of overview of the really pressingly important stuff. There's a lot of dynamic activity in the chart. You can see Mars is very activated. But just to break down this moon one step at a time, to put some kind of sensible logic to it. I love Capricorn. You know, my own moon's here, and the modern textbook says there's a lot of ambitious work energy. It's direct, it's practical, it's stoic, it's grounded, it's focused, and it has conformist tendencies. That's the sort of modern understanding of Capricorn, but there's much more to it than that, and I think that actually is a little reductionist. It's a convenient narrative for like a work focused culture, like an enterprise focused culture, like modern culture. You know, we can think of modern culture as Western in that it's been, and you know, I don't like the East-West dichotomy. I understand it's not like academically sound, but when I say Western culture, I mean like colonialized culture that goes back to a Romanized Europe. And within that understanding, we have a work and enterprise focused culture. So all over the modern world, the Western culture, the mainstream interpretation associates Capricorn with career energy and work and focus and falling in line and doing what you're told and succeeding. Fascinating. The ancient textbook says this is the goatfish, which immediately, in any intelligent person's mind, raises the question, what is a goatfish? It was the territory of Enki, who was in Babylon, Ea, an old god who held the secrets of civilization. He was a god of wisdom, a god of magic, a god of fertility, and a patron to all craftspeople. Enki is an old god, a titan, if you will, without direct Greco-Roman counterpart. And you know, the Greek myths were pretty naked about this. They were pretty honest about it, that the Olympians had conquered the old gods and established a new order. So somewhere in the evolution of our stories, we have ancient Sumerian gods from the time of Enki, like Shamash was the sun, who's Apollo, and a lot of the mythology of Inanna has carried into our modern understanding of Venus. But there's a lot of similar. It's not even about there being similar qualities, because there aren't always similar qualities, but it's about there being a thread through history of an understanding of a character and their, you know, their qualities. You know, a lot of Greco-Roman mythology is retold story. It was already ancient 2,000 years ago, right? But some Greco-Roman mythology is new, and it represents a marginalization or an erasure of the old gods, right? Capital O, capital G. And I'm not going to speculate about why. It's not why I'm here. But regardless of how much like change and kind of deformation at the hands of vested interests our modern sidereal mythology has been subjected to, like regardless of any of that, Capricorn remains the goatfish, ancient symbol of Enki. So, I wanna switch, just switch modes here. We have a little, this is Enki, you know. If you've never studied Sumerian or Babylonian mythology, you've never seen this guy. It looks like we have a goat and freshwater fish and an eagle, and he wore horns, a horned hat. It's Enki. And Capricorn, let's see. Yeah, Capricorn. This on an ancient Roman coin, Cygnus Receptus. That's a colloquialism, a Roman colloquialism. Not important for these purposes. What is important is you asked what a goatfish was. There he is. Always with the fish in the back, the goat in the front. Like the goatfish is a known part of our deep symbolism as humans, as people living under the stars. We have a goatfish in our life. Saturn, right? He gets the modern association, right, with Capricorn, and he's like the cosmic adversary, right? So the nature of Saturn and the goatfish have been woven together in our modern mythology, and used to perpetuate a lot of cultural fear. Like let's get back to the. I have a good example here of let's see, where are we going here? Here's an example. Like we just portray the devil as something that's like the feet of a bird and the loins of a goat and the wings of a bat and the horns, maybe the horns of a ram. I don't know, but he's a chimera, and that scares people. It's like no one knows what to do with that. No one knows what to do with that. No one knows what to do with the goatfish. So Saturn. Saturn is the modern, the sort of, and Saturn wasn't an Olympian either. And here's where I'm going to like pull the plug on this whole narrative is like Saturn was an old god. Saturn was a Titan, the Titan Kronos. He wasn't an Olympian, and he wasn't on the side of he wasn't on the winning team. But Enki, the goatfish, the ancient goatfish, like all trickster figures, he's hard to understand. And in the ancient world, there seems to have been a real natural honoring of the mystery of things, right? The inherent magic of things. Where in the modern world, our institutions kind of honor the discovery and identification and classification of things. And in doing so, often rob them of their magic, don't they? A pinned butterfly on a neatly arranged collector's board. That's how modern institutions tend to favor the placement of butterflies. But if I was a butterfly, as long as it is a butterfly, asleep and dreaming all this, I would certainly prefer the flight and the flowers and the life of a butterfly. So right. So what does that have to do with Capricorn? Thank you. What's the takeaway here? The takeaway is Cap gets this real stodgy reputation. Okay, it gets a dour reputation. It gets a reputation associated with Saturn, with conservatism and conformity and delay and obstacle. But there's a hidden world. There's a hidden world within the archetype of Capricorn. It's vivid and beautiful, full of magic and craft. And all this Saturnian material has been conflated here, conflated with Capricorn, kind of understood Capricorn through the lens of Saturn. Instead, I invite you to consider these stars as omens of wonder. Really, mystery, magic, and the joy and secrets of an old wild god. And chiefly next most important from the idea that this alignment is reflecting the energies of Capricorn is chiefly next is that it trines Jupiter so closely. Like this is going to be, someone's going to get blessed big here, and this will be different for everyone. But Jupiter trines are most auspicious. There isn't a lot to lose with Jupiter on Aldebaran trine a new moon. It's a great time to start new things. Provides a lot of relief from Taurus Capricorn, from Taurus to Capricorn. A lot of blessings, soothing, giving, supporting. If you're a Jupiter person, it should be a good month for you, and it should be a month to lean into your blessings. But the star that Jupiter's on here, Aldebaran, Aldebaran has a very special understanding as one of the four royal stars. So I always bring this up when royal stars are activated. Jupiter, it gives Jupiter power. It just gives, and what Jupiter does as a body, Jupiter's action is to empower, to give power via the trine to the sun and moon. But Aldebaran, this big star, the bullseye, attracts tests, and it's actually the power itself that Jupiter gives that attracts the test. It's a test of integrity. And if you fail the test, the power is taken away. This is very old and very time-honored understanding. If you look up Aldebaran on your own, like if you go to even on good sites, like sites that get aspect right, like Astrology King, you can't go to him and look up stars because he only lists the most dreadful, like Eberton and the star lore that's catastrophic, Robson, and all of these horrible catastrophists. You have to understand the stars through the eyes of someone who's done their deep study, like Bernadette Brady, or going back to some of the more ancient understandings of them, I can't think. I think it's Gavin White, Babylonian star lore. There's a couple good sources for star knowledge. And Aldebaran is always listed as an awesome star that comes with integrity tests. So pass the integrity test, keep your integrity, and you'll keep the power that Aldebaran on Jupiter is blessing you with. Fail the test, and Aldebaran's watching you, and you'll see why all these catastrophists list Aldebaran as a downfall star, catastrophe, horrible death with lots of loss beforehand, because very few people in this world have integrity. So be one of them. It's good advice this month. Mercury conjunct Pluto will shift lanes, and take a look at this. Pluto is like the slow-moving but inevitable force of metamorphosis, and Mercury is the fastest moving, the adaptable Quicksilver one, and this really brings together the conscious and the unconscious. For some, it's going to deepen and intensify thinking and the topics of conversation. For others, this could easily become obsessive or compulsive. And for yet others, revolution, thinking, new ways of thinking are going to be the order of the day. And for yet others, revelation of secrets is a Pluto function. So we could have all of that happening this cycle. It's a great month to connect to the past, to the deep and the mysterious, the lost. Mercury symbolizes the ancestral, the genetic, the forgotten, and the ancient. Pluto symbolizes the ancestral, the genetic, the forgotten, and the ancient. And Mercury symbolizes conscious thinking. Pluto's action is to polarize. He's a dual planet. Pluto Charon, the center of gravity between Pluto and Charon is somewhere in between Pluto and Charon. Right? Pluto's moon is like a second planet. He's a dual planet. So he's always generating these dual and charged situations. And it always takes a lot of experience before anyone can use the intense Plutonian energies to magnetize things that they are, needing into their lives to attract, right? Mercury, right? Quicksilver, it doesn't even magnetize. Mercury doesn't do that. So it actually will gently move away from magnetic fields without actually itself magnetizing in the process. It just doesn't magnetize, and it repels it is repelled by magnets. So when we kind of polarize Mercury, here we are, Pluto is aligned with Mercury. When we polarize Mercury, what happens? Well, we're often forced to deal with dual truths. And in my experience, we get thrown into reality tunnels in which we encounter paradox. And the only way to find relief from the pressure, right, for the Mercury to flow, is to accept the two truths, to accept the two truths of the reality tunnel in question, whatever it is. And these two truths that Pluto illuminates have an architecture. Like they have a design, and we know that as an abstract and objective and cosmic and out there truth, that is how far we get, there's going to be an equally practical, simple, ground level truth too. It's Newtonian, it's quantum, it's particle, it's a wave. The classic Pluto duality at a ground level, human experience level, is that we crave new experience. We crave adventure, and we simultaneously long to rejoin the source. And then often there's the two truths of anything hinge on a conventional truth and an ultimate truth, right? The conventional is kind of simple and rough and helps us navigate reality. And the ultimate truth is like usually too complex to be useful, but it's more accurate. But Mercury primarily reflects communication, okay? And Pluto intensifies Mercury. So don't be surprised if there's like pretty supercharged expressions of speech, extreme ideas, polarized and polarizing topics of conversation. It could be a difficult month to, if you're the kind of person who prefers neutrality and not to take sides, it could be a more challenging month for you. And the last thing that I really think is vital to understand if we're gonna move through this lunar cycle consciously and in awareness, is this Venus conjunct Neptune conjunct North Node in early Pisces. So this could really amplify love or desire energies, and could also really distort love or desire energies. So being really careful at this time what we wish for. This is another North Node Neptune connection, is another signifier of obsession, and Pluto Mercury leans obsessive. It's a signifier of the fantastic, with North Node and Neptune and Venus in Pisces. That's why I had the Seven of Cups up, if any of you were had noticed that I have the Seven of Cups, because I think this tarot card encapsulates the energy of like Neptune in Pisces, Neptune North Node in Pisces, and Neptune North Node in Pisces connected to any inner planet really well, in that it's just like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What do you do with that? It's fantastic if it even exists at all. It could be all a dream, but if there is anything there, it's looks like visionary. It looks potentially, I don't know. This is one of the hardest tarot cards to interpret, and it's usually understood in terms of a kind of phantasmagoric fog, or a sense of not knowing what to do because of confusion or inability to focus. There's a lot of interpretations of that card, and I don't promote any given one. Very weird card, but I would say it's a signifier of the fantastic. For better or worse, good, bad, and ugly, it's a signifier of the fantastic. So I want to say that Pluto Mercury and Venus Neptune North Node, at the very best, they'll help us connect to our like deepest dreams and to our desires, and they'll help us articulate and they'll help us accomplish them. And at worst, these connections could be a little too distorting to handle gracefully. We could be pulled between desiring the vivid intensity needed for transformation, and this specific impulse to just check out, right? Avoid it all. So what we end up having in the end is a new moon that brings a need to focus, a need to focus, a need to discriminate. And it comes with it a need to distinguish between fantasy and reality, and to use this time constructively while Jupiter is on Aldebaran, trining the sun and moon. And we'll also likely be dealing with some more great intensity, and that's signified by Pluto's connection to Mercury. I'd like to think I've spent enough time on that. Let's move on. We have waxing transits. All right. So these transits will happen between the new moon on the 29th and the full moon on the 12th of February 2025. On the way, we'll take a look at the chart of the waxing quarter moon, February 5th. Busy first half of the month, busy waxing cycle for transits. I see Uranus stationed direct on January 30th, and also the Sun trines Jupiter. And that Jupiter is still on Aldebaran. So these go exact on the 30th. With the Uranus station direct, I see a lot of innovation. I see a lot of a special insight at the end of Aries, beginning of Taurus. Taurus always stabilizes what Aries chased. And on the other hand, thinking of Uranus in Aries, a little bit of a fire starter, I'm reminded of his ingress into the constellation Aries when Notre Dame and that other old church in Brooklyn just spontaneously erupted into flames. Now we have his ingress into Taurus. We have him at like 0 degrees some Archimedes Taurus, and Los Angeles is burning. So interesting. Uranus is I don't know, keep Uranus away from the matches. I think that a Sun trine Jupiter here should be a good time to start projects. I mentioned that. And I think it's a victory signature. I think Uranus stationed direct and Jupiter on Aldebaran and Taurus signify gain and success. There's a natural enthusiasm and exuberance that supports progress in endeavors here. Then we have, going exact on February 1st, Venus conjunct Zoinks. Venus conjunct Neptune. And these two are an octave set, so the pair works really well together. Venus makes Neptune less abstract without softening her inspired qualities and other gifts. And Neptune takes Venus's delight and love to like really sublime levels, even to the spiritual and approaching universal love, transcendental love, unconditional. That sort of concept around love comes with the Venus-Neptune connection. But via the conjunction, it is a neutral aspect. I want to remind everybody that the conjunction will show the positive, it will show also the negative. And then moving through, we have on the 3rd and 4th, we have Jupiter trine to Mercury on the 3rd and Jupiter stationing direct on the 4th. I think that this comes with a lot of insight available to us, and generally into Jupiterian matters, it should be. And what are those? Matters of spiritual power and matters of wealth. So Jupiter stationed direct on Aldebaran may bring about really profound insights. But remember Aldebaran's test, right? The integrity test. And just because downloads or insights at this time should be understood as happening under Aldebaran's influence. This whole period from Jupiter trine Sun, and really this entire lunar cycle, but especially on the 3rd and 4th. If it's a really big day for you, for any reason, the bigness of it is going to be connected to Aldebaran. So keep your integrity intact. And it comes with integrity tests. All right. And after that, we have the waxing quarter moon. So I want to kind of get that chart on the screen. And just let everyone have a look at it. Pause here and take notes for those that interest you. We'll head back to the waxing transits. All right, after the waxing quarter moon on the 6th and on 7th, we have two pretty big alignments. On the 6th, we have Ceres square to Uranus. On the 7th, we have Venus sextile to Pluto. And both in combo look pretty intense. I think self-love at a soul level is what Venus and Pluto is capable of. It's really kind of asking for. It's kind of highest potential there. Self-love at a soul level. New approaches to compassion and to nurturing are really Uranus Ceres hallmark. And I'd look for insights this time around our self-relationship, especially the status of our inner child or anything our inner child might be trying to say to us. And then we have Mars trine Saturn, and this is a longer transit. This is going to go from 6th of February through the 12th. It goes exact on the 9th, and it hits with two others. It hits with Ceres sextile Eris and Sun conjoining to Mercury. So Mercury will be combust as Ceres makes contact with Eris and Mars makes trine to Saturn. Just to look at this Mars trine Saturn thing, it's a combo of power, that's Saturn, and the inner planets, especially the inner fire, that's Mars. So in that way, it's a lot like the Jupiter Sun combo this month. There's a lot of power here in the inner fire. So like Jupiter's Sun, it's auspicious for starting projects. It's good for the accomplishment of things, accomplishment of goals, the fulfillment of work, discharging of responsibilities. These two planets work really well together in my experience, just because they're like classic malefics. Doesn't, just put a fat whatever on that one. They're forces and they work together. And you can ride that wave, but it wants to work. It wants to accomplish. It wants to discharge responsibilities. It really does. And at the same time, actually, I'm going to take all the rest of this Ceres sextile Eris down to the very bottom because they all involve the same actors. It's like one sort of big formation where the Sun is conjoined to Mercury and Ceres in short order, or Mercury is conjoined to the Sun and then to Ceres. And in between the Sun and Mercury square Uranus, and Mercury sextiles Eris as he's with Ceres, and then the Sun sextiles Eris. So it's all this Uranus Eris Ceres Sun Mercury formation, and it all happens under the umbrella of Mars trine Saturn. Now that's a lot. It's a little confusing. It's a complicated signature, and there's a lot of tension and nervous energy here, thanks to the presence of Eris, who's making supportive relationship. But Uranus, these squares come with a little bit of anxiety. That's a Uranus square artifact. And there's a very compassionate, caring, and sensitivity in the harmonious aspects from Ceres, in conjunction from Ceres. But it's going to be infused, the whole thing infused with primordial chaos via the presence and relationship to these powerful planets of Eris. So just to take a step back and like it all happens, since it all happens under the umbrella of Saturn Mars, we can think of anxiety and fears and nervous electricity as fuel for the accomplishment of our motivations, right? That's accomplishment of our motivations. Saturn is accomplishment and Mars is our motivations. And we can find a wave here to ride. This favors long-term projects. So if you have anxieties, if you have nervous energy, and there is a sort of electricity in your nervous system, find especially long-term projects to channel that into. It should be very beneficial. This could be a time wave here at the as we move towards the full moon, that works well for a lot of people. And I want to shift here to the full moon. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, it's a busy one. All right, I'll try and blaze through this. We're on the Capricorn, Aquarius cusp, reflecting or shining the solar light that's reflected by a moon in early Leo. That's the first thing. We've got this late Capricorn, early Leo axis. Second thing, the sun is with Mercury and Ceres very closely. So that's interesting. It's also T-squared by Uranus, like way too close for comfort. 0 degrees, 47 arc minutes. Eris trines sextiles the new moon, the full moon, and Mars trines to Saturn close enough to be, pretty relevant. He's separating, but he's still within that 0 degree. So it's going to bring that energy of Mars trine Saturn and the need to work and expend energy and to have motivation to accomplish. It's going to bring all that into the full moon. The North Node and Neptune are also super close at this time. So what do we make of all this? How do we approach and prepare for a full moon? February 12th, it tends to be correlate to the expression of what wanted to happen at the new moon. It tends to be, and here the expression is just dominated by this Uranus T-square, symbolizing, as we've already noted, Uranus squares anxiety. So, let's find constructive ways to ride this wave. It looks intense. I want to start here with this Capricorn Aquarius Leo axis that the whole thing happens in. This part of the sky, this cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius really talks about a sort of part of the story where great mastery has been achieved, great systems have been incorporated and internalized, and the question in early Aquarius arises: well, what's next? What's beyond this? Surely there's more. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting place in the sky. And the axis to early Leo. Now, early Leo is asking a whole different question. Early Leo is asking, how do I shine? And how do I inspire others? Early Leo wants to lead, but he's not there yet. And that happens around mid-Leo, the real leadership vibes. But early Leo is learning to lead, and it tells the story of moving towards great leadership. I made a sweet video with Rio Lermond, and I'll leave a link in the description about the Capricorn, or the late Capricorn, early Leo axis. We actually made a series of 6 videos about all of the axis in irregular axis in constellational astrology. And, one of the things about this axis is that early Leo is very expressive and late Cap is very reserved. So we have instinctual energies here and strategic energies on the other side of the sky. And to blend them is going to be interesting. It's going to be challenged, but it's going to be powerful because of that twilight blending of two opposite forces. Leo learns a lot of organization from Capricorn, and it grows in its leadership ability. And Capricorn learns charisma from Leo as it grows in its personal expression, right? So early Aquarius is where we try different stuff. Non-habitual things, it's where we shake up our own kind of conditioning, where we shake up our own Capricornian patterns. And again, like what's beyond this, right? Surely there's more. That's the question, right? Aquarius wants to get freaky. Capricorn is might be a little freaky, but it'll feel guilty and ashamed about it. Aquarius lets its freak flag fly. So, let's move on. I mentioned the sun was going to be with Mercury series. That's a big part of this. The sun with Mercury in series is really going to emphasize compassionate thought and speech, nurturing the self as well. That's going to be big. Taking new steps, new self-care maneuvers. There may be new self-care needs, and we're going to need to identify them and act on them. Ooh, yeah, this Uranus T-square. A very disruptive change. That's what it portends. Uranus T-squaring a full moon portends very disruptive change. Upheaval, anxiety. It's time for tools. It's time for your breath tools. It's time for your life tools. It's time for your inner, what fills your toolbox? How do you cope? February is going to ask for the application of these tools. And on the Aries-Taurus cusp, I think it's going to be a challenge of stabilizing new systems, new ways of doing things. And again, Aries on a cusp is a real. It's just Uranus on a cusp he's been historically disaster bought, moving into Aries. We have the Notre Dame fires moving into Pisces. We have the was that like the Gulf oil spill? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Uranus, but this time around he's feeling mighty terroristic. And I don't want to correlate the Hollywood Hills with Uranus and in a direct or knowledgeable way, because I'm not directly knowledgeable that is related. I don't assume that. It's just it's an interesting coincidence. And then, so this portends all kind of upheaval and anxiety. And we have Eris. Eris, the only most supportive thing happening with the full moon is from Eris. So it's hard to harness Pluto's energies for constructive purposes. I mentioned that. And if it's hard to get Pluto to do anything for you, it's even harder to harness Eris constructively. This is not a force that anyone really seems to have historically liked to have worked with. It portends disruption, kind of crazy wisdom, the arcane, the chaotic. Chaos in Greco-Roman mythology was like the object, the thing at the beginning of the universe, the primordial being, the creature whose children were primordial. Eros, Nyx, Gaia, Aether, Tartarus. That's desire, night, the earth, the living planetary deity. Aether, space, the construct of space. Tartarus, the spirit of the underworld itself. Again, another sort of world as being kind of thing. All children of primordial chaos. Eris generally represents one of the steepest learning curves in astrology, and it tends to be very disruptive and syncopated, uncaring, detached. So just be on guard for difficult experiences here that are unexpected, coming out of left field. I would say, expect the unexpected. But just to look at this full moon all in one place, this is predictably unpredictable. We're going to see some things, and we're not going to have foreseen those things. Aquarius, too, makes it unpredictable. We've got Saturn in one critical degree and Mercury in another. And Jupiter on Aldebaran did trine that new moon, bringing some blessings. But here, he is not doing much for the full moon, not making a lot of aspects. We talked about anxiety and stress. The full moon certainly brings and represents new ways of doing things, right? Unconventional ways of doing things, unexpected, innovative ways of doing things. For some of us, this moon will support new ways of thinking about things too, brand new ways of thinking about things. But a moon with Ceres contact, a full moon with Ceres contact, is going to be very feeling. It's going to be very emotive and nurturing, humanitarian. With Uranus here in Taurus and accompanied by Jupiter on Alpha Taurus Aldebaran, I think this will challenge some of us to expand their compassion. I think it will challenge people to grow their emotional wealth and to understand that the love that we give to ourselves is the basis for the love that we have for anyone else. So there's compassion for others and love for ourselves in all this, but it comes in the form of needing to dig through the challenge we're experiencing to find that treasure, to perhaps even unearth new dimensions or elements of it for us. Likely just to deal with the circumstances that we're facing. Uranus T-squares are hard. Uranus is difficult in square. And with that, I would just like to move on. Let's get to the waning transits. What can we say? Well, we can say we get a break. We get a break the waning transits. That's nice. That's right. I'd forgotten about this. The sun conjoins Ceres exact on February 14th, Valentine's Day. And it happens in a bubble. It happens in a total bubble. In fact, between then and the waxing moon, that's the only thing. On the 14th of February, Ceres has moved into Aquarius, and Ceres and the sun will meet. And this gives the powerful feels, my friends. A lot of reclamation of joy and wonder. The inner child, right? So at this time, it's like, how's your self-talk? How's your talking to your inner child, the parts of you that want to cry? Like, how are you approaching them and dealing with that? We can't keep, Ceres won't let us keep our shadow, our inner monsters locked in a cage. It's because that monster will just rattle the cage and create all kind of problems. And when he finally gets out, and he always will, you're done for. You're done for. It'll manifest in chaotic ways. You can't stop it. So Ceres wants us to go and make friends with ourselves, reclaim the lost parts of ourselves, and to make the underworld journey to encompass the treating of yourself like someone you love. That's what it is. You got to encompass all of yourself. If your friend had a problem, you wouldn't be like, oh, you have a problem, you're such an asshole. You'd be like, oh, no, we all have problems. But when we have problems, it's very hard. It's very hard to do what Ceres and the sun can empower us to do. So write out a Valentine to yourself this year and treat yourself like someone you love. Do it. Do it. Do it. And understand that your self relationship is the basis for the whole I thou axis. I think it's so cool what happens on Valentine's Day. I'm not even into Valentine's Day. I mean, yuck. But I want to say, for those who don't have the motivation, the strength, and the other factors needed to make that inner journey and encompass this love, to confront your demonic underworld forces. Some of them get really dark, and I appreciate that. And for those that don't have that available to them right now, Ceres into Aquarius could signify a kind of glazing over, or like a hardening or becoming cold. Dealing with emotions by trying to like rise above them, okay, instead of just feeling them. And that I want to just remind everybody, regardless of how much emotional strength and power to change and discover your real self that you feel you have. And, some of us have been tremendously traumatized, and those are behind walls that represent decades of work, and that's okay. It really is. But Ceres' Sun wants us to remember that the only thing your emotions want, they want one thing. It's to be felt. And to dissipate. They've served their one purpose. But if you disallow that, then you create countless worse problems. So this could be a time of deep feels. It could be a time that our emotions are very sensitive and we feel vulnerable. And I want to encourage you to love yourself for that. Love yourself for the vulnerability and the humanity in it all. All right, your pep talk's over. So on February 20th, we have a waning quarter moon. And I want to get that chart on the screen so that you can, for those who take careful personal notes and want to see, this is happening in the earliest degree of Scorpio in this map, right on the Scorpio Libra cusp. Right? And the rest of the waning transits, it's a pretty chilled out month. Right on the 20th, Mercury square to Jupiter. Jupiter's still in Aldebaran here, so we could have some of those integrity tests happening, like could be a little insta-karma happening with the square. Watch things on the 20th. Just watch your reactions to everything. Jupiter and Aldebaran square to Mercury will also give a lot of humor, a lot of optimism, a lot of power, a lot of insight. It could be a wonderful time. I don't want to scare anyone, but I do want to remember that Jupiter is on Aldebaran, and Aldebaran doesn't fuck around. Not for 1 second does Aldebaran do that. Then later in the month, on late in the 23rd, also joined on the 23rd by Mercury trine Mars, we have the transit of Mars is stationing direct. That was convoluted. Let me say that again in a better way. On the 23rd, Mercury trines Mars as Mars stations direct. And we have this pattern, Mercury trining station direct bodies this month. We had Jupiter earlier, if you remember, Jupiter station direct, and Mercury trined Jupiter. Mercury trine Mars with Mars station direct could be, for some people, I think, very motivational. And because of Mars station direct, if it just depends on where it's happening in your chart, Mars is going to be stationed in Gemini, and Mercury will be trining from Aquarius. So this could have a lot to do with thinking in new ways, being motivated to think in new ways. And there you go. So you can see the see the dates that we're talking about. The last things that happened this month are Mercury conjoining to Saturn, which tends to be serious if short-lived. So pretty quick. On the 25th, we have this Saturnine influence. And then choo-choo, Mercury's scooting on his way. And we finish this lunation out with Mercury sextile to Uranus. Always good when Mercury and Uranus make contact. A lot of good understanding and insight and higher levels of thinking about things, higher orders of thought and ways of looking at things that are very next level, very innovative, come from this. And that innovation signature takes us into the next new moon in Aquarius. So let's look at that. And yeah, we have an Aquarius moon, the new moon square Jupiter. Neptune has moved within 1 degree of fixed star Shiat, where it will sort of camp out for the next couple of years. I'm sorry, everyone. Here we go. I'm the nutty professor today. Neptune has met with Shiat and has moved within 1 degree, so is in a 0-degree relationship with fixed star Shiat, where it's going to spend a lot of time the next couple of years. It's going to do a lot of important stuff. The next couple of years, it'll meet with Saturn here, and it'll make sextiles to a powerful Uranus-Pluto trine in late 25, 26. That is gonna have an impact. Yeah, if you made it this far, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, do YouTube things, share it around, tell your friends you found some new astrology, or love it if you've been around a while, because this is the jam and a lot of us know it. Yeah, I hadn't been mentioning Serena's fundraiser for a while. I want to mention that. She has a hearing date. Very exciting. She was denied twice, and now she gets legal representation. She gets to go before a judge. She's made it almost 2 years, and I just want to thank you to everyone who's helped. And her fundraiser is going to be like on the screen right now and in the description below. And if you want to support her, you can also support my work via my website, oneskyastrology. All of the, all of the work I do is going to support her. It's the life of a home caregiver. I have a cool dialogue out. Changing Lanes. I have a cool dialogue out with Rio Larmond on that Neptune-Saturn conjunction that I was sort of like, saying was going to really be significant. And so I'll have links to that in the description below. It's cool to get my dialogue series reinvigorated again. And yeah, I have a Rio Larmond calendar right here. 2025 edition. You can see it's like a planner with all kinds of there's all kinds of stuff in here. What I'm not going to show you. I can't show you. It's too much. You just have to order yours. We'll have a website link in the description below. That's Priestess Press. That's publishing these calendars. Another Rio Larmond project. Thank you, Rio. And yeah, if you want to hang out and you use the Facebook platform, gathering place for those of us who use Facebook is the Radical Astrology Group. It's for those who share interest in the astrology of the living skies and want to, I don't know, to dork out, to do things like talk to each other and share ideas, resources. It's really cool. Join us. All right, fam. Love you all. Thank you for hanging in this far, and I'll see you next month for that Aquarius new moon. and maybe before then. Ciao.